Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dogs, and we are less than 5 days away from the 2025 MLB season. This is going to be the fourth season of Ron's Rundown, where we go over every single game, every day, regular season, all the way to the end of the World Series. Really excited. I can't believe it's been 4 seasons of Ron's Rundown. Really appreciate all of you that support the series all over the years, and we're ready to go for Wednesday night for Thursday's games. Here on Monday, I'm recording this. I'm actually going to talk about some win totals and some division futures that I like for the 2025 season. So if you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Let me know your thoughts on your futures picks, not just for teams, but for players as well, in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dogs Premium. I'm going to have my MLB Season Pass, All Access Season Pass. Gets you every single premium selection, sides, totals, player props that I release in the regular season and the postseason. Last year we had a great MLB campaign, looking to duplicate that this year. So check it out at Pick Dogs Premium. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the win totals I'm looking at for the 2025 campaign. First up, we'll go to the AL East, as we got 2 teams I'm looking at in this division. The other 3, Red Sox, Rays, and Yankees, just don't see a lot of value either way with those. I know the Red Sox are a team that a lot of people love going into the year, both for a win total over and a potential dark horse in the American League. I think that love is a little bit too much for me, and I think it's pushing the price a little bit too much, so that's why I'm going to stay away. The Rays are a big question mark for me. I do think they finished below 500, but you never want to count out Kevin Cash. And the Yankees, all those injuries, a high win total, I'm just going to stay away. For me, it's the Orioles and the Blue Jays, and I think the Blue Jays go over their win total. This is a team only won 74 games last year, but they were very unlucky at 19-30 in one-run contests. They were just not a great team in close games, and a lot of that because their bullpen really struggled. But there's some big-name relievers that have put together really solid careers in the majors in this bullpen that I think bounced back from a disappointing 2024. The same thing goes for in the rotation. A guy like Kevin Gausman, who was pitching really well the previous years, struggled quite a bit last season. It's going to take a bounce-back year for Gausman. I don't think he gets to that Cy Young caliber pitcher he once was, just a couple of years ago, but I think he's a much better option in this rotation this year. Then you look at the lineup. This was a team that struggled offensively at times, but I remember in the final month of the regular season last year, even though Toronto was not in the playoff race or not in playoff range, they were still playing competitive ball offensively, starting to pick things up. They added Andres Gimenez, who I don't really love his bat, but he doesn't strike out much, puts the ball in play, and he's an excellent glove. I mean, he's definitely going to be one of the best defenders in baseball. And then Anthony Santander, one of the best power hitters in baseball, switch hitter, really going to help that lineup, kind of that protection for Vladdy in the middle of that lineup. I think Toronto's a better team this year. I like their win total over 78.5 wins. Now, for the Orioles, I do expect this team to take a bit of a step back in 2025. We see their win total is already at 87.5 games after Baltimore won 91 games in 2024. I can still definitely see this team making a wild card spot, but with the Yankees still a very solid team and the Red Sox improved, even the Blue Jays improving quite a bit, I just can't see this team winning the division. I don't think they win the necessary games to get over this win total. In the offseason, you lose Santander. You do bring in Tyler O'Neill, so a decent replacement for the power there. But in the rotation, I think that's where the Orioles have the biggest question mark. You lose your ace in Corbin Burns. John Means is gone. This is a rotation that has Zach Eflin as your ace, and I think Zach Eflin's had some solid years recently, but not necessarily a number one I'd want to have in the rotation. Sugano and Charlie Morton are big question marks, with Sugano playing in his first season, of course, in the majors, and Morton now at the age that he's at. I mean, you just can't expect him to be that ace level that he once was as well. I just think that the Orioles take a step back this year. I think they're young enough to where this doesn't necessarily have to be a disappointing season. They can build for next year and beyond. I mean, this is such a young core that's got so much talent that the Orioles, they could very well find themselves in a spot where they buy at the deadline this year and maybe improve their second half, but I just don't see it enough to win 90 or 88 games. I got to go under the win total for the Baltimore Orioles in 2025. Next up, we'll go to the AL Central. This is an interesting division because a lot of people are talking about the Royals and the Tigers, the fact that they were able to make the playoffs last year. The Tigers needed that second half surge, and they got it. Tarek Skubal was the Cy Young best pitcher in baseball. The Royals, Bobby Witt Jr., one of the best players in baseball, runner-up to Judge in the AL MVP voting. The Guardians are a team that nobody wants to give up on, and for good reason. A team that no matter who's on paper, who's on the roster, they continue to win ball games. but not a lot of people are talking about the Minnesota Twins this year, the favorite to win this division, and I think they're favored for good reason. I like Minnesota to win this division at plus 200 odds right now. You can shop those numbers, but when you look at Minnesota, not many better teams out there from a pitching standpoint, both the rotation and the bullpen. The bullpen's one of the best in baseball. The rotation, one of the best 1-2-3 punches in baseball in Lopez, Joe Ryan, and Bailey Ober. And then Chris Paddock is also having a decent spring training this season. 16 strikeouts in 14 and third innings, limiting the walks as well. The control's been a lot better. If he can be a solid number 4 with Simeon Woods-Richardson back at the 5, this is a dangerous Twins team. If the lineup can stay healthy, guys like Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, some of the best players in the American League, I think the Twins are a very dangerous team because not a lot of people are talking about them. I like their chances to win the division this year. Next up, we have the AL West, and this is a division I'm looking at a few teams, and we'll start at the bottom of the division. I just don't see how the Angels and the Athletics right now have the same win total at 72.5 wins. You can shop the numbers and see, which book has what, but I think the Athletics win more games than the Angels by a good margin. I like the A's over. I like the Angels under. And I just think the Athletics, when you look at this team in all facets of the game, I think they are the superior team. I think the rotation's a lot better. Severino and Springs, very solid 1-2 punch for a team like Oakland. Beto pitched really well at times in last season, and J.P. Sears also had his moments in 2024. Joey Estes, the same thing. I think both Sears and Estes, while they're not going to be able to be consistent, sub-4 ERA guys, they're not going to be bad 4 or 5 options rather than the 1, 2, 3 options they were forced to be last year. I think the bullpen's a lot better. I think the lineup is also a very underrated lineup. I mean, Brent Rooker, Lawrence Butler, J.J. Bleday, Shea Langoliers. That's a solid top 4 compared to the Angels, who have Mike Trout and a bunch of guys that are probably going to be interchanged in this lineup for the rest of the season. And that's if Trout stays healthy for the season, which we haven't seen for quite a while. I just don't see how the Angels finish with a better record than Oakland. So I like the Oakland A's over the Angels under. Now for the Houston Astros, this is a team that, because of Kyle Tucker's departure and some of the new faces in the lineup and in the rotation, they're not being talked about enough, in my opinion, as the most complete team in this division. Add to the fact that they had a disappointing season last year, which still ended up winning a division, but for their standards, it was a disappointing year, only winning 88 games. The Rangers and the Mariners are being talked about as a top 2 team in this division, a little bit too much for my liking. The Rangers still have big-time question marks in their rotation and the bullpen, and it's the opposite issue for the Mariners, who have a great rotation, excellent bullpen, but one of the worst lineups in baseball from last year. I don't think either team addressed their weaknesses enough to compete with Houston this year. Houston's still a very talented team, one of the best rotations in baseball. Their lineup should be fine, and they're a team that last year was really unlucky in close games. They were 19-30 in 18-27 in one-run games, and 6-10 in extra innings games last year. I think the Astros win over their win total for sure. I think they win the division as well. I'm going to take Houston to win the division and go over the win total. Next up, we'll go to the NL East, and this is a division I've talked a bit about this year in the offseason and spring training, as I think the Nationals are a team to watch out for as a dark horse this year. The kind of my pick to be the Royals of last year, which was a team that had a very low win total, not a lot of expectations, but went on a run and made the playoffs as a wild card spot. For me, the only thing holding Washington back in terms of making the playoffs is the tough division that they're in. I mean, the Phillies, Braves, and Mets are all capable of winning the division this year. So Washington, while I don't think they make the playoffs, I still think, though, they win 75-plus games this season. They should be able to pick up all the W's possible against the Miami Marlins and some of the weaker teams in the Central and the West. And I just think that this is a young team to watch out for in the coming years. The lineup's in a lot better place. The rotation's better than expected. And the bullpen also, I think, is going to be better than what we saw from last season. While I don't think it'll be much better, good enough to keep them competitive in a lot of these games. Give me the Nationals over their win total in 2025. Now, for the New York Mets in this division, I have mentioned many times, I think this win total is way too steep. I think the expectations are way too high. And while Juan Soto is one of the best players in baseball, I don't think he's enough to get this team to win 92, 91 games to get it over the win total. I like the under for the New York Mets. I think their rotation's in not a great spot. Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas are injured. Kodai Senga has been very injury prone recently. Those are your top 3 arguably pitchers in the rotation that are not going to be available potentially. Senga should be in the rotation to start the first week, but I think when you look at Clay Holmes as your opening day starter, a guy that's never had a starting pitching job at the major league level, the stamina, the workload is definitely a concern there. While he pitched very well in spring training, I'm not sure he can be the #1 option for very long. I mentioned my concerns with David Peterson in terms of regression. Tyler McGill, the same thing. I don't love this Mets rotation. I think the bullpen's okay, but I think it's very thin. A couple of injuries away from being in a really bad spot. And I think the lineup is also very top-heavy with guys like Lindor, Soto, and Alonso, excellent options. But the bottom half, not great. I think Vientos is due for a regression-riddled season after producing great numbers last year, but the underlying numbers are not great for him from last year. Winker, Siri, Beatty, Terrens. Right now, those are the projected starting lineup players. I can't get there with most of them to be everyday starters. Francisco Alvarez going down was a big loss, and Terrens is a decent backup, but not a starting everyday catcher. I think the Mets are in not a great place right now, and I think this win total is way too steep. Give me the under for the Mets. Also, add to the fact they went 28-16 in one-run games. They were one of the more fortunate teams in baseball last year. Give me the under. Next up, we have the NL Central. And I think this is the toughest division to predict this season because I think the Brewers, Pirates, Cubs, and Reds are all capable of winning this division, just based on talent and the players on paper. But they're also capable of being not so great teams this year, finishing with a below 500 record. I think the volatility is really there in the NL Central. And for me, I'd rather take a shot on a team like the Cincinnati Reds to win the division than do anything else in this division. I don't want to look at these win totals, at -110, -120 odds. I'd rather go at +450 for Cincinnati to shoot for the moon and win the division because this lineup is going to be very, very solid in 2025, especially if they can stay healthy, which was their issue last year. I don't love the rotation. I think Hunter Green takes a step back. I think he regresses quite a bit. I don't really love the fit for Brady Singer in Great American Ballpark. The bullpen we know is not great on paper, but the lineup should win a lot of games for Cincinnati this season, enough to make them a fun enough team to win enough games, maybe be buyers at the deadline, and find a way to win this division. I think it's a division that's certainly up for grabs, and I'd like to have +450 on my side with the Cincinnati Reds to win the AL Central. Next up, after the toughest division to predict, I think this is the easiest one to go for. The Dodgers winning the NL West at -600 odds. While it's a very steep price, I still think there's value with LA to win this division. You may be saying, Ron, how can you find value at -600? And I think the term value is really one of the more overused and abused terms in all of sports betting because I think a lot of people think that value always has to mean plus money, and that's not the case. You can find value at any price, any odds possible, just depending on the wager. I mean, think about it. If somebody gave you -600 odds that the temperature outside tomorrow, wherever you live, is under 149 degrees Fahrenheit, you'd take that all day long. It's not going to be 149, 150 degrees outside tomorrow. So even though you have to lay a little bit of juice and lay a lot to make a little, it's still an absolute lock. The Dodgers may not be that much of a lock, but I still think they win this division 90+% of the time for this to actually be a profitable and smart wager. I mean, at -600, you have to win this bet about 86% of the time. I think the Dodgers win this division 90+%. For me, this was the World Series champion that was so dominant last year that added 2 ace-level starting pitchers in Roki Sasaki and Blake Snell to the rotation. And so now, even if some of the players, some of the pitchers go down with injuries, which we've seen, guys like Glasnow and Yamamoto have some injury concerns, you've got the depth now in the rotation. You added Kirby Yates in the bullpen, which is already one of the best bullpens in baseball. The lineup we know is excellent. You have Michael Conforto now at the back end. Shohei's going to pitch this year, potentially. If he doesn't, still an MVP caliber player that won it last year. I just don't see a world. I think the Diamondbacks got worse. I think the Giants and Padres certainly got worse. So I don't see a world where the Dodgers lose this division unless it's a devastating bad luck and devastating injuries in a row. I mean, Mookie Betts is sick right now. We'll see if he can come back. But I still think the Dodgers win this division pretty easily. So give me LA to win the division. Not necessarily the win total over. It's at 103 wins. It's too steep for me. Give me the division winner because the Dodgers can still win 95, 96 games and win this division. Also, I like the Rockies to go over their win total. I think this is a way too low of a win total for Colorado. I mentioned the Padres. The Giants have gotten worse this year. I think the Rockies pick up some extra wins there, and they're going to have a solid home record at Coors Field. Give me the Rockies over 61.5 wins. And that's it. Those are the win totals and futures that I'm looking at for the 2025 campaign. Really thank all of you for tuning in to this video, and I can't wait to see you on Wednesday night for the first MLB rundown of the 2025 season. Again, if you're looking for my best bets and you're looking for that MLB season pass, which gets you every single premium selection I release in baseball this year, you can find that at Pick Dogs Premium, and there will be a link in the description. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.